Shalom, shalom.
Um,
You're the brothers of Great Millstone, Charlotte, coming at you again through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai. Before we get started with this lesson, we'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachaha Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who taught us this truth and rule well. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, pushing his word throughout the four corners of the earth in truth, righteousness, and sincerity. To you, we say shalom. So in this lesson, we're going to touch on America. Well, the title of this lesson is America, Rome, One and the Same. All right. Pretty much we're going to be touching on, of course, the Renaissance. We're going to be touching on, very briefly, we're going to be touching on is a lot of the plagues that's hitting America, and the way that America has fallen is essentially the same. We're seeing the same trend that Rome had, So we're going to touch on that, bring us some articles. But before we get started, I want to bring out Revelation 13th chapter.
I got a quick one real fast.
Con, you got it, bro.
This is Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 9. It says, the thing that hath been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. You see, so just like you said, to reiterate, it's regeneration in the scriptures, you see. So essentially the same things that was occurring, in the ancient time, the same things are occurring today, Pretty much, going into what it just said, no new thing under the sun,
Right. And the Most High has a sense of humor, the way, he took out Egypt, the way he took out Sodom and Gomorrah, the way he took out Rome, it's the same way, we're seeing America being taken out, or is going to be taken out, right? Like, that's why in the scriptures it talks about, in Revelation, the 11th chapter, it talks about America, but it's hinting it as being spiritually Sodom and Egypt, because the same things that's happening here happen in those lands, in Egypt and in Sodom and Gomorrah, right? And the same way they went out, it's the same way this place is going to go out, right? We're going to see the same plagues. As a matter of fact, let me get this real quick. Salakia. This is 2nd Ezra 15 verse 11. We get to the point. It says, "But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof." So this ain't talking about actual Egypt. This is talking about that spiritual Egypt, being America, right? And we're seeing those plagues hit America, left and right, man. It's getting them 2-piece combos, Hey, America's getting hit on all angles. We hear Klaus Schwab talk about the poly crisis, right? Multiple crises happening at the same time. Pretty much a perfect storm is brewing for America, right? And its time is up, right? The time for judgment is coming, right? That's what we're seeing. All these plagues hitting America. The American dream is failing. But we'll continue to touch on these plagues here in a minute. But I want to read this real quick. This is Revelation 13 and verse 1. It says, "And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horn 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy." So this is talking about the Esau's empire, meaning primarily the Roman Empire, right? Those 10 horns, those 7 heads, we know to be what was it? The Greeks, the Romans, the French, the Spanish, Germana Major, Germana Minor, and the British. That's 7, right? I believe so. But then you got the 10 crowns, right? Which represent the vassal states, which modern day that'll be EU, or NATO, right? Verse 2, it says, and the beast which I saw like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear. Now the leopard representing the Greeks, the bear representing the Russians, because that's the end, right? The feet is the end of your body, so that's the end of America. America's going to be taken out, or this system, Esau's empire, Esau's rulership is going to be taken out by the way of the Russians, primarily the Yahweh Shah, but showing you that the Russians going to be at war against America. But it says, in his mouth as the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. A dragon being the Roman Empire, right?
I'll pick up at 3.
Con, you got it, Doc.
Verse 3, and I saw one of his heads, as it were, wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast.
Right, so it says, and I saw one of his heads, they were wounded to death, because the Roman Empire fell. You know, they fell around 300 AD, right? You can look it up. You know, it's common knowledge. You know, the Roman Empire was pretty much taken down, but it says that his deadly wound was healed. It says, and all the world wondered after the beast. So that deadly wound being healed was during the time of the Renaissance, right? Which is around 1300, 1400, somewhere around there. You know, when the Roman Empire started to rise up, right? And the teachings of the classics, the Romanism, you know, the legislation, you know, everything that was back during the Roman Empire got what was reintroduced into the world, right? So, you know, that's pretty much what the Renaissance is, you know, the rebirth of the Roman Empire. But now that we understand that the Roman Empire is America, let's get this real quick. This is from openculture.com. It says,
you start from the top.
Yeah. I'm just going to read the title, and you can read some of this.
Okay.
It says, "Is America declining like ancient Rome?" You know, so even in modern times, you know, you have you know, these scholars, these people that study the go into the economy, you know, that pretty much study history. Even they are seeing that, or noticing similarities between ancient Rome and America, right? Ultimately, because this is Rome all over again. But just showing you, you know, the as far as the spiritual context, you know, to be had here, you know, this is showing you that this is America. But you can start from here, from the top.
Okay. It says, pursue to any depth the question of whether the United States of America counts as an empire becomes difficult to address with clarity. On one hand, the country has exerted a strong cultural influence on most of the world for the better part of a century, a phenomenon not unrelated to the military presence that extends far beyond its borders. In Korea, where I live, I once met a former CAT USA, the branch of the Korean Army seconded to the U.S. Army, who told me he joined because he wanted to see what it was like to be a modern Roman soldier. On the other hand, we can't quite say that it rules the known world, at least not in the way that the Roman Empire did 20 centuries ago.
Right. And really, nowadays, you know, America has extended its reaches far beyond, far surpassed the Roman Empire's capability. You know, you have so many military bases all over the world. You know, America holds the most bases than any other country. And it's something crazy, some crazy number. I can't really remember how much it was.
Right.
They have a ton. You gonna say something, Mark?
Then they got the not the diplomacies, the embassy. They got embassies.
Mm-hmm.
I got a precept though. This is the Holyam Psalms 37 and verse 35. This is, I've seen the wicked in great power and spreading himself like a green bay tree. You see it, and they got the in DC or Arlington, they got the Pentagon, you know, and they said that Pentagon was a similitude, or it was a symbol of the US's power, you know. So you know, the wicked in great power, and it says, and spreading himself like a green bay tree. Hey, they got pretty much, they in Korea, you know, they in they got bases in Qatar, you know, Qatar, they call it Qatar. You know, they got bases in Afghanistan. And they got bases all over. You know, Thailand, you know, Taiwan.
Right.
You know, or not Thailand, Taiwan, you know. Pretty much he spread himself and his philosophies all over the globe, you know.
Right. You know, you even got South Korea, to the point where South Korea is like New York City now. You know, they have the same customs, they celebrate the same things. Like, it's pretty much America, you know, over there in South Korea. But just going back to this, you know, it's that person said, that Korean said, what did he say? He said he wanted to see what it was like to be a Roman soldier. You know, so even they know, you know, on a spiritual level that, you know, America is Rome. That they're following in the same footsteps. They're doing the same moves. You know, everything's the same. But the same legislation, the same parties, the way that is divided between two parties. You know, everything's the same. You know, it's just all brought back, like the brother mentioned in the beginning of the lesson. You know, ain't no new thing under the sun, right? But you can continue reading a little bit more.
It says, yet the temptation to draw the parallels between America and Rome remains irresistible, not least when it comes to the subject of imperial decline. In the video from the Toe and Stone, historian Garrett Ryan evaluates the idea that modern America is destined to decline and fall like ancient Rome. The arguments for the motion tend to involve an increasingly unsettled international landscape and domestic division, leading to the dissolution of Pax Americana, the successor of the Pax Britannica, which itself succeeded Pax Romana. Americans explain, Americans, Ryan explains, have a sense that Rome is in their political DNA. The Constitution, after all, represents an attempt to recreate or create a new and perfected Roman Republic. Anxieties about Roman-style decline have been present since the beginning.
Hey, so they're telling you right there, you know, that they based America off the ideals of Rome. What Rome had brought to the world, they were trying to emulate that. They were bringing it back. They were bringing all that shit back, right? But let me see. I wonder if there's a little bit more. You can read a little bit more on this. Just a little bit more.
Says Rome and America each was the greatest power of its time. Each had a strong legal system and a society that left room for social advancement, and each professed to be guided by Christian principles. Their political, economic, technological conditions could hardly be more different, of course, but when observers say that America is falling like Rome, the underlying assumption is not that America is specifically like Rome, it's that all empires, ancient and modern, follow a similar course from greatness to grave.
Now, that's true. Slovakia. But that's true. You know, all empires, you know, had a similar course. You know, they all reached a point, a pinnacle, and then from that point on, they started declining, right? So we understand that. But Rome, everything about Rome is back here again, just showing you that this is Rome all over again. Who was in power? Esau, Edom. Who was in power during the Romans? Esau, Edom. This is Esau's empire back again, right? That's why when we read in Revelation the 13th chapter, let me go back to it. I'm gonna read verse 3 again. It says, "And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed." So that wound was healed. It was brought back, right? And all the world wandered after the beast. I'm gonna read verse 4. It says, "And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshiped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him?" Right, and that pretty much came to fruition when the atomic bomb was dropped. You know, who was able to make war against America? You know, you can't fight. Hey, when those two bombs were dropped, the Japanese surrendered immediately. Just showing you, you know, all this, you know, who is in power. Just showing you, you know, the scriptures, you know, the prophecies and everything, you know, how it lines up. But going back to the article, you know, it said that America, that Rome, that America is going to fall like Rome, which that's exactly what we're seeing. You know, a lot of similar symptoms, you know, of the fall of Rome. Same symptoms is happening to America. Let me see. I want to get this article. This is from newtraderu.com. It says parallels between the Roman Empire and the USA. So there's a couple points that it points to. It elaborates on a little bit too, but we're gonna hit the points, maybe read a little bit, and get some precepts. So Baba Shah, do you mind reading this?
Khan.
Right from
The Roman Empire.
Khan.
From the top.
Yeah, Baba Shah.
Khan. The Roman Empire and the United States are history's most influential powers. Though separated by time and geography, there are some striking parallels between their rise, development, and potential decline. In this blog post, we will dive into the similarities and differences between these two mighty civilizations, focusing on the past 40 years of the United States. Political instability and corruption. The Roman Empire faced significant political instability, especially during its later years. The empire saw a rapid turnover of emperors, many of whom were corrupt, ineffective, and simply not up to ruling such a vast and diverse realm.
Hey, that's exactly what's going on now. We know with creepy Joe Biden. You know, he's simply not up to ruling such a vast and diverse realm, man. You know, a lot of the rulers that Esau's had and has put as presidents, you know, they weren't qualified, you know, to run such an empire, man, and especially run it right. You know, we understand that Esau is a wicked ass ruler. You know, he doesn't know how to rule an empire. You know, his purpose in life was actually to be a servant. You know, his purpose wasn't meant to rule. So you have a child, you have a servant in power. You know, he's going to abuse it, which we see him doing right now. Were you going to say something, Mark?
Blah.
Khan. We can go ahead and continue reading a little bit more.
Khan. Corruption was widespread, the officials often using their positions for personal gain rather than the public good.
Right, and that's what we're seeing. You know, a lot of these politicians, you know, they pretty much favor companies, you know, industries instead of the people. But go ahead, you can read United States right here.
Right, because if I can add, you know, they pretty much call, you know, America, you know, a corporation. You know, so pretty much they look after, you know, the corporations versus, you know, the I guess what you would call like the private sector, or, you know, pretty much going into the people.
Right.
But it says the United States too has seen a decline in stability and effectiveness of its political system. Polarization has grown over the past 4 decades, and trust in institutions has waned. Corruption, though not seen as pervasive as in Rome, remains a concern in various government sectors.
Right. You know, and you already know there's a lot of corruption. Everything is governed by the elite, so they can sway and move everything as they please, as they see fit. You know, but that's just one point, right? So it said political instability and corruption. Another one says economic inequality and struggles. So you can go ahead and read this right here.
It says the Roman Empire. In Rome, wealth was heavily concentrated in the hands of a few elites. Most of the population lived in poverty, leading to social unrest and resentment. Mm-hmm. This inequality was exacerbated by Rome's tax system, which disproportionately burdened the lower classes. The United States income inequality in the United States has been rising for the past 4 decades, with the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer. This has led to social tensions and concerns about the long-term stability of the nation's economic system.
Right, so it's essentially the same thing. You know, they're pretty much doing away with the middle class, which even in the middle class, you know, they ain't really, you can't even consider them to be middle class. If you ain't got a couple million in your bank account, you ain't middle class, you know, because the top elite, you know, they got trillions of dollars. You know, you hear about Bill Gates and all these rich ass, you know, crackers out there, they got billions in their bank account, up to trillions. That's rich. You know, a lot of people call themselves middle class and only got like a couple 100,000 in the bank. You ain't, you know, you ain't middle class. You know, you're low class. But that is showing you the fact that in the United States, that gap of rich and the poor, you know, is constantly increasing, the same as ancient Rome, which is causing a lot of civil unrest, which caused a lot of civil unrest in ancient Rome, and will cause that civil unrest here in the United States. You know, we see a lot of people can't pay the rent. A lot of people can't. The food prices going up. A lot of people complaining about food prices. There's a lot of things that we're seeing in today's time that we're living in that points to the economic decline of America.
It says monetary policy and inflation. The Roman Empire struggled with inflation, particularly in its later years. This was mainly due to the empire's debasement of its currency, reducing the precious metal content of coins to fund wars or other expenses. This in turn led to a loss of confidence in the currency and economic troubles.
Mm. Hey, that's exactly what we're seeing now. As a matter of fact, we'll read the America, where it says United States, and then we'll jump to a precept.
It says the United States. The United States has experienced the same currency debasement as Rome. The passage of the Gold Reserve Act of 1934 signified that the American people could no longer hold gold except for jewelry and collectors' coins.
Right. So pretty much the gold standard, right? The having the gold back up your money, that was done away with, and now you have this fiat currency. Everything is all, debt based, right? And with this new currency that America's got now is essentially the same thing that they did back in Rome. Them debasing the gold, right? Adding 10 or whatever it is that they added into it to make it weigh the same, but at the same time they're lowering the value of that coin. The same way we're doing now with America. They're printing more and more and more money, right? So in turn, it's inflating everything. So that way the money, instead of being worth $1, now is really worth 50 cents. And we're seeing it gradually, start to become watered down as they did back in Rome. So that's another similarity, right? We can just jump down to this.
It says military overreach and resource allocation. It says the Roman Empire.
Salakia, brother. You know what that precept is? Where it talks about about the clay.
Habakkuk chapter 2. I think it's verse 5. Want me to get it?
Khan.
Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 5. It says, verse 6. It says, I'll start from verse 5. It says, yeah, also, Habakkuk 2 and 5, yeah, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire is as hell. And it says, neither keepeth at home, you see, because the scripture just said, Psalms 37 and 35, I've seen the wicked in great power and spread himself like a green bay tree. Scriptures also say when the wicked increases, transgression increases, roughly paraphrasing. So it's transgression all over, where Esau is ruling, And it says, yeah, also because he transgresseth by wine, his philosophies, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long, and to him that ladeth himself with thick clay?
Right, not thick clay being that debt. That debt, right now we're at what was it, $30 trillion in debt?
God, I think it builds every day or every second or something like that.
That's crazy, and it ain't going down. This is a debt that they cannot pay.
Right.
It's the same reason why Rome fell in the first place.
Right. So, and if I
also go ahead, bro.
If I can add too, when a country, the Rothschilds, all them pretty much, the elites, they pretty much made a system to where if you can't pay back a debt, they pretty much send you to war. You see, so and what we see on the forefront right now is war. That's why it's no coincidence that they're coming out with the selective service. Talking about talks about the draft. And it's articles coming out all the time. And even stuff that's not being reported.
Hey, it makes sense why war is talks of war. Talks of America going into war. You know, America can't pay its debts no more. So hey, the elites are sending America into war. Let's see. There's a point I wanted to get out here. Habakkuk 2:5. It says, "But gather unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people," which is essentially what Esau is doing now. This is what the Romans did back then. You know, putting everybody under them, having them pay tribute unto them. You know, to be a Roman citizen, you had to pay a certain amount. You know, and then you can be a Roman citizen. You know, and the scriptures talk about Paul being a Roman citizen, right? Hey, in America, you know, you're an American because you're an American citizen. You know, pretty much Esau always wants to get everybody under one banner, which is exactly what he's doing now. Now, NWO, that's pretty much where it all goes back to. But let's go back to that article actually.
Kind of says military overreach and resource allocation. It says the Roman Empire, Rome's military was stretched thin across its vast empire. Constant warfare and the need to defend its borders drained resources that could have been used for other purposes, such as infrastructure or social programs. Hey, and that's essentially, you know, what's happening now. Hey, they got potholes in every goddamn city. You know, the potholes, you know, change the radio station. You know, that's pretty much how Esau get down in his society. You know, it says or social programs. You know, the scriptures say that, you know, it's a bad thing for veterans, you know, to be homeless. Esau has countless veterans, you know, that's homeless. You know, different programs. You know, he doesn't. He isn't concerned with the lifestyle of the people. You know, he more so just let things be what it is. You know, it says eventually Rome's overextended military contributed to its decline. It says the United States maintained a significant global military presence since World War II. However, in recent decades, critics argue that the nation's military commitments have become overextended and costly, diverting resources away from critical domestic needs.
Right, like sending billions of dollars to Ukraine, billions of dollars over to Israel. You know, pretty much funding all these proxy wars, but yet you got so many critical problems here in America. You got train derailments, you got bridges falling down, you got damn psychopaths on the street. You know, degeneracy all over the place. But yet they're focusing all their funds, all their money on shit that doesn't really pertain to the Americans, right? Or America, right? But just showing you the same mistakes, the same things that they did back in Rome are the same things they're doing now, stretching their military thin, all them bases they got all over the place, fighting so many wars at once. It's like it's the same thing.
If I can add too. Like you made a point that pretty much is spreading themselves too thin, but see, with that, you know, they don't have the manpower. So being that they don't have the manpower, they're taking on. They already got that mindset of that thick clay, so they're used to, you know, providing pledges. You know, so they say, okay, we can do this. You know, but the whole time they don't even, because essentially they got something called a fiscal year, and if I'm not mistaken, essentially that's pretty much where they plan for the year ahead, you know, and they have certain numbers that they got to meet. You know, they're not meeting them numbers. So that's pretty much adding to where, you know, spreading themselves too thin, because they don't have people to recruit, and they also don't have retention, you know, so.
Hey, that's the reason why they're going to have to bring that draft. That draft it will be mandatory. You know, a lot of Jake is going to be going to war. You know, either that or you go to prison. You know, so just showing you that these are the things that we're seeing in America right now in these days. We see war. It talks about the draft coming through. You know, all these things all are symptoms that the Roman Empire had to go through. Or the Roman Empire went through, Slovakia, right? The United States being it's a Rome's second leg, we're seeing that the same disease, the same infection is affecting that leg as well.
Says Demographic shifts in immigration. It says the Roman Empire experienced a population decline and demographic changes due to migration, disease, and other factors. And it says changes to migration. A lot of people are actually moving out of America. It says
Right.
disease. Yeah, like if you go to Houston, they got, that what they got going on down there. Different cases of like the VIH. And it says other factors. There's a lot of different things. They put other factors. Because it was a lot more things. It says
Right.
these.
Right. You
these
got Salaki, bro. You got nowadays. You got the what they call them, the passport bros.
yeah.
Yeah. You got Jake leaving the states.
It says these shifts impacted Rome's economy and social fabric. Which fabric? That's something that weaves together. They call this a melting pot. It's not really meshing like it used to. It says as new
Mhm.
populations and cultures mingled with the traditional Roman way of life. It says the United States demographic changes in the United States over the past 40 years have included an aging population, slowing birth rates. Hey, it was an article that said that more than 50% of women not having kids. It says
Crazy.
increased immigration, or it said more than 50% of women under 30 wasn't having children. You know,
Right. Hey, and if you do, they're getting aborted.
right? Yeah. It says increased immigration. It says these changes have led to debates over immigration policy, cultural assimilation, and the future of American identity.
Right. So yeah, man. We're seeing more and more things. You have the border. Being pretty much wide open right now. Everybody's coming through. You know, Anybody can get paid coming over here to America, right? So we're seeing a lot of uh, uh, people coming in. Even in Roman Empire, you had a lot of migration, people leaving, some people leaving, some people coming in. You had what's it called, the barbarians. They were talking about coming in. You know, Pretty much the barbarians is pretty much what they feared back in the Roman Empire. And right now, what people are fearing now are these immigrants coming in and taking their jobs. Right? You can touch on this one too.
Kind of says infrastructure challenges. The Roman Empire maintaining Rome's vast infrastructure, including roads. We talked about the potholes,
Hmm.
aqueducts. Aqueducts, I believe that goes into the water system. If you look at the water
Yep.
system, yeah, I think like in what's it called, Detroit, or not Detroit, Flint. They don't even have clean water. There's
Hmm.
multiple places in America. If I can add, that pretty much doesn't have a good water system. It says public
Uh,
buildings.
if I may say, also, when you read about, there's an article that came out about New York talking about how it's sinking. Every like a couple centimeters every year.
Mm-hmm.
So just talk going into the infrastructure. Everything is just decaying.
Well, shit, they said that the whole East Coast, in a couple years is going to be, like below sea level, or it's already at like zero. So it'll
Hmm.
be below sea level, like kind of like New Orleans.
Mm.
But it says became increasingly difficult as resources were stretched too thin. The empire struggled to keep up with the demands of aging infrastructure, ultimately contributing to its decline. The United
Hmm.
States The United States faces similar challenges with its aging infrastructure. Bridges, roads, and public transportation systems have declined for decades, and the nation has struggled to allocate the necessary resources for the maintenance and improvement.
Hmm.
This has led to concerns about crumbling infrastructure's long-term economic and social impact.
Hmm. And it will have an impact. The fact that the infrastructure is not kept up, is not taken care of. It's almost like you have a house, right? You have a house, but then you have the walls cracking. You have mold growing in certain areas. Man, that house is not going to stand for much longer if you just keep letting the shit build up. Here it is, you're cracked. Your floor is cracked. You have no damn carpet. You have a hole in your wall. That's pretty much America. A semi abandoned house, right? And I want to get this real quick. This is Isaiah 14 in verse 11. It says, Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vials. The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. So the worms just going into decay, right? And that's exactly what the infrastructure of America, period. Everything about America, every fiber, every aspect of America is corroding, is decaying, and this article is pointing out some of those decays. Let me see. Let's go back. Right here, another one.
It says the decline in civic values. The Roman Empire Rome experienced decline in traditional civic values, social cohesion as the empire expanded. The decline was further exacerbated by political corruption, economic struggles, and influx of new cultural influences. The United States in recent decades, concerns have been raised about the erosion of shared values, social fragmentation in the United States, political polarization, declining civic engagement, and social media influence has contributed to a growing sense of disunity and mistrust among Americans. Can I get a precept?
Con, you got it.
Did you get Isaiah 19 and 14?
Con. This is Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 14. It reads, Yahweh hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit.
All right. Could we get the word for perverse, Baba Kusha?
Con. Perverse.
It says Awa'ayim, H,
H 73.
Yeah, 5773.
Okay.
Yep. And it says distorting, perverted, warping. Can you go to the It says perversities, which is not suitable. Could you go to the root word?
Okay.
Yep. And it says Iwa. And it says to twist, distort, be perverted, distort, to do perversely, commit iniquity. Which this place, was founded off of bloodshed, of the Israelites, you see. But it's progressively, gotten worse from that point. The Lord has mingled a perverse spirit going into, pretty much that disunity, which really we can honestly could we get Isaiah 19 and 2?
God.
Because it is a perverse spirit which leads to the disunity in America, you see, but also going into the disunity from, it says, this is Isaiah 19 and 2, says, I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. It said disunity, unity is everybody is on one accord, Everybody wanted that American dream, but don't nobody want it no more because they're seeing that, America is full of shit, This is no longer, the scripture say in Isaiah 46 and Isaiah 46 and 1, thou shalt no more be termed tender and delicate, pretty much the place everybody wanted to be. That's no longer this place, for for a lot of people.
That's right. The American dream is done, man. It's over. There was an article I went into the other week, touching on the fact that a lot of Gen Z, what's it called? Not Gen Z, Gen X, millennials, Gen Zers. They were talking about they don't see the American dream being attainable no more. They see it as something like that their forefathers had, but not no more. Which it is, it's pretty much a rat race that Esau put in front of you. It's unattainable, man. I want to get this real quick. This is Matthew 12 and verse 26. It says, and if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How shall then his kingdom stand? So that's pretty much the essence of what we're going through here in that point, right? When it says the decline of civic values, that's what it says right here. That's social cohesion, right? Pretty much that cohesion is what bonds things together. Pretty much people ain't, they ain't in the same like mind. They ain't bonded together no more. Everybody's split up. You have different sects of people. Everything is segregated. Like, even though they talk about things not being segregated, there's you have the just for example, you have the Republicans and you have the Democrats, right? they both hate each other. You know, that line is clear that they won't work together. You know, it's just showing you that that separation. You know, but you even have separation even in the family. The woman against the father. I mean, the woman against the husband. You know, you got a lot of separations, man. Different beliefs, which causes your society, everything to pretty much fall apart. It has no glue to hold together. Let me see. So that's one, right? Let's get this one. Start. Oh wait. Yeah, you start reading.
Climate change and resource depletion. It says the Roman Empire, Rome faced challenges with resource depletion and environmental issues such as soil erosion, deforestation, and desert. Hold on, how you say that?
Desertification.
Yeah, desertification. These factors contributed to food shortages, economic strain, and social unrest.
Mm-hmm.
Says the United States is grappling with mining, pollution, resource depletion impacts, flooding, extreme weather events, and biodiversity loss threaten the nation's economy, environment, and public health.
Right, and I know this is not pertaining to America. Well, I guess it can pertain to America because I just saw an article 2 days ago going into China, how they're going into they're suffering a famine right now where they have to get their grain and all this food from they have to get it imported is what I mean to say, you know, which is going to put a strain on the whole pretty much worldwide resources as far as food, you know. So that's another thing. You know, you have all these chicken farms, you know, burning down. You know, you have this whole bird flu shit going on. So, you know, a lot of these eggs and shit, you know, they're not being um they're not good to eat, so they pretty much do away with them. You know, just recently you had the whole thing with the train derailments, right? With the water and all that. You know, there's a lot of things that we're seeing, you know, and the simple fact that they're not doing the what's it called? The land Sabbath, you know, it's causing, you know, a lot of these lands not to be able to produce any nutrients for the fruits and the plants, right? I believe I know we mention this all the time, but I know they were saying that the topsoil won't be no good, or it will run out by 2050, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So just showing you the depletion of all these things, right? The depletion of resources. Let me see. I think that was it. Let me see. Bubba Kashai, you mind reading this real quick? This latter part.
Since conclusion, while there are many parallels between the Roman Empire and the United States, it's essential to remember that the two civilizations are fundamentally different, and the U.S. faces unique challenges. However, by examining the shared struggles and lessons from Rome's decline, politicians can better understand the potential pitfalls facing the United States and work to address from proactively. In doing so, and to work to address them proactively. In doing so, they can help ensure the continued stability and prosperity of the nation for future generations. Those those that fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And I mean, it's already prophesied, you know. So there's nothing, you know, that they can do. They understand their role, you know, in the movie. They just pretty much just playing out their lot, you know.
Right, like the scripture says, you know, we would have healed Babylon, but it is not healed. Mm-hmm. You know, there is no healing Babylon. There is no ointment, no special treatment that you can give to America. They were here talking about giving America a soft landing, you know, what they call a quantitative easing. You know, it's not going to work. You know, none of that's going to work. You know, a crash is coming. It's spoken about in the scriptures, right? A crashing from the hills. You know, all that is coming to America, right? The economy is going to crash, and we're going to start seeing everything just start falling down like dominoes. You know, right. People going to start bugging out. You know, things are going to get more tighter. Things are going to get more hectic. You know, and that's pretty much what we're waiting for. You know, the ultimate a fall of America, the inevitable fall of America, right? So now let's get some precepts. I'm gonna get Jeremiah 50 and start at verse 21. Baba Kusha.
Okay. It's Jeremiah 50 and 21. It says, "Go up against the land of Marathayim, even against it, and against the inhabitants of Pakwawad, waste and utterly destroy after them, saith the Lord, and do according to all that I have commanded thee."
Khan. You want to break down that word Marathayim?
Khan, when you go into Marathayim, it goes into the Hebrew word Mara or Mar, which that goes into, rebellion. It's just it has essentially shares a root word with Mary, which Mary goes into rebellious or to be, to be bitter. So America is bitter. When you go into the scriptures in Proverbs, it says pretty much goes into how this place is bitter. Even in America's name, the MER. When you see MER in different words, like whether it be like marine or mermaids are fake, but mermaid, the MER, that goes into something that's bitter. So double rebellion, bitter or double rebellion. This is the end of Babylon, America, Babylon the Great. Essentially is going to receive double, like the scriptures goes into. But then it said Pakwawad or Peacock, and Peacock that goes into visitation. Which to receive a visitation by the Lord. Essentially that's judgment. Because this place is going to be judged. And again, to reiterate, essentially the Lord said to receive or to give her, reward her double.
Right. Hey, it makes sense. Double rebellion. Hey, double the judgment. Right. And when you said MER, right? Mer, right? That means bitter. And hey, it makes sense because America, you have the MER in there, the Mer, America. America's bitter. The bitter land. Let me see. Let me go back. Continue reading this. Baba Kushak, continue reading down to 24.
Jeremiah 50 and 22, it says, "A sound of battle is in the land and of great destruction."
Right. So a sound of battle is in the land. That's pretty much what we're hearing. We're seeing the love of many waxing cold, right? If you want to bring out that, that point of those two, that one dude, who shot up them 4 people.
So go to this real fast. It says, "String of shootings appear to target random drivers, bicyclists in Charlotte. Police offer reward," which I believe they ended up capturing the guy. But it says shooter. And this is another article. It says shooter in car randomly fire at people in Charlotte, killing one, police say. Which it was again, it was back in the day, so to speak. Pretty much you could just chill on the side of the road. Drink a couple beers or whatever. You can fall asleep in your car. Maybe like 25 years ago, 30 years ago. See, but essentially, the Lord is mingling a perverse spirit, in the midst of Egypt, America, Babylon the Great, to where people just doing whatever. The love of many is waxing cold. So it's a lot of spirits out here, which we coming into the time of the end. Pandemonium. It's going to be pandemonium. Which pan goes into all. Demonium goes into demons. So essentially, people just doing whatever it is that they want to do in America, Babylon the Great.
Right, and then you had also these white supremacy activists, doing a march a couple of days ago, just instigate something, man. You have these what they call sleeper cells, coming through the border, pretty much like you said. Hey, the Most High is mingling a perverse spirit, man, in the land. Like everything is just pretty much waxing worse and worse, in here in America. Everything is just waxing worse. Everything is getting more and more hectic. Everything is getting more and more tight financially, socially. People ain't behaving, like they did 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
Right.
Thing is just fuck. After the whole C-19 thing happened, everything just started getting worse, man. Everything just started to get to the point where the shit you saw like in TV shows and movies We see that shit happening now. Everything is just everybody lost their mind. Everybody decided to go full throttle, you know, of in that YOLO spirit. Ever since the whole C-19, ever since the whole lockdown stopped, you know, everything just started going back. Everything started going back to normal, and Jake just decided to, you know, take it up to the next level. But also these heathen out here, which it caused, in turn, you know, the Most High is bringing out these plagues out now, man. Seeing that the things are getting worse, these plagues are coming down worse. You continue reading that.
Jeremiah 50 and 23, it says, how is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations?
Right, the hammer of the earth, America. You know, I believe there was also a quote. I don't know who said it, but they were saying how America is the hammer of the earth. Right. So just going to show, just further proving, man, that hey, America is Babylon. You know, Babylon the Great, according to the scriptures. Right. This is the land that's going to be burned by fire. Right. So, like it says, how is the hammer of the whole earth broke? Salakia, how is the hammer of the earth cut asunder and broken? You know, that's what we're seeing a lot of these nations rising up, because America is pretty much a laughing stock, right? With its military, you know, having moles, women, and damn, even the men up in there are goddamn effeminate, you know, doing damn video challenges and all this bullshit. You know, whenever you're seeing over there in Moab, Russia, and all these other nations, you know, they're ready. They're ready for war. They're asking for war. You know, but America, man, hey, you got a lot of effeminate ass people up in there, you know, which essentially becoming the laughing stock to the rest of the world. So it says, how has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? It says, I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware. Hey, America ain't aware that it's going down the drain, man. These Americans, they have no clue. They really believe America is going to be able to bounce back. Nah, man, the Most High has laid a snare, and it's not going to be able to come back from it, man. It says, thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against Yahweh. Here it is, America, so-called, or the Bible is the land, is the law of the land, and so-called they worship the Most High, the God of the Bible, but yet everything about America is contrary to the scriptures. Everything about America is contrary to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Right? So you constantly, the American lifestyle is constantly striving against Yahweh, right? Which is why it's going to be put out. Khan, you have some, Mark?
Khan, can you go down to verse 37?
Khan, I'm going to jump down, Jeremiah 50 and verse 37. It says, a sword is upon their horses and upon their chariots, and upon all the mingled people that are in the midst of her, and they shall become as women. A sword is upon her treasures, and they shall be robbed.
So pretty much this place has become as women, you know, pretty much weak, you know. Again, to reiterate the example of to where, you know, they can't retain people, you know, because, you know, their promise, America is heavy on the promises. You know, they'll give, you know, those that are they're trying to retain and keep in there, you know, they'll say, okay, we'll give you this amount, you know, see, and tell them they're giving to them at a certain date, you know, and there's been reports to where they, you know, they're not giving it to them, you know, but essentially it's going into how they make the pledges, and then also those that's being recruited, you see. So it once had, you know, purchasing power, so to speak. It don't have that same purchasing power to where, you know, those that's inside their military, you know, are being provided for. They even told their people, you know, hey, it was an article maybe a couple years ago, but it said they told their people to the troops to apply for food stamps.
Wow.
So, you know, it's showing you that this place is becoming weak. You know, the resources are stretched too thin. You know, the country doesn't have any money; it's in debt. You know,
right? You know, America's a third world country, but at this point, you know, you can't. You have all these other countries like Qatar and all these Middle Eastern countries, you know, who is able to afford paying for their citizens' medical expenses, you know, able to pay for them to go to get education being tax free, all these things. And here America has all these ways of making money, but somehow America is still the one of the brokest countries, most in debt, right? Just showing you, man. Hey, this place is done, man. This place is done for, man. For everything that America has done, hey, it's about time that this place goes down. But I want to get this real quick. This is Luke 10 and verse 18, Salakia. Just touching on this point real quick. Luke 10. Come on, you got it, Doc.
So Luke 10 and 18, it says, and he said unto them, I beheld Shatan as lightning fall from heaven.
Right. So it says as lightning fall from heaven. So just look at the speed of lightning. You know how fast, that is. That's how America's gonna go down. The scriptures talk about America pretty much being destroyed in 1 hour. Right? I don't know where that's at, but I know it talks about how America's gonna be done in 1 hour. Also talks about the speedy riddance that Yahushua is gonna do here in the land. So in this is gonna be the quickest takedown of an empire that we're about to see. Esau being in his heavenly state, he's gonna be brought down to a hellish state. That's pretty much what I was going into. But you got it,
Doc. This right here says the flash. It says the flash of light that seen from a lightning strike travels at the speed of light, which is 186,000 miles per second. This means that the flash is seen immediately after the strike occurs. The actual lightning strike travels at a much slower speed, about 270,000 miles per hour, which that's still pretty goddamn fast.
Right.
This Esau numbers too, but it says, for example, it would take 55 minutes for a lightning to travel to the moon. So pretty much, it's a similar tool for how fast this man's falling.
Right.
Which we've seen a gradual fall. I mean, this place has been falling since around about the 90s. But most recently it's been a rapid decline.
Right, very rapid decline. The scriptures talk about how the Most High is going to speed up the times, and we're seeing the times being sped up to where all we're seeing day in, day out is everything pertaining to prophecy, pertaining to the scriptures, pertaining to the plagues that's about to befall this place, man. We're seeing everything just there ain't no good news in America no more. Back then you would hear about good news, and there ain't no good news in America. It's only bad news, So that's all you got to expect. Like the scripture says, evils and only evils. That's all you can expect in America. That's all that's coming. Let me get this. This is Revelation 18. Let me see. Abu Kashak, can you start at verse 4?
It's Revelation 18 and 4. It says, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues.
Right, so that's essentially what we're telling Jake. We out here warning y'all, Jakes. We're seeing the fall. We're seeing the similarities between America and Rome. We know that what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah is going to happen to America. We know what happened in Egypt and the plagues of Egypt. All that is happening in America. All that's going to come to America, man. Everything that we've seen on these past civilizations, America is going to overshadow all of that. The scriptures talk about it's going to be a day like no other, or a time like no other, right? Go into Jacob's trouble, which is going to happen here in America. So in order to escape said plagues, said troubles, you're going to have to come under the protection of Yahweh Yahushua. That's the only way you're going to be able to make it out of it, man. The scriptures talk about pretty much saying not I have enough, right? And what evil shall I have hereafter? Just because you got money, you got a goddamn bunker, you got all these, you prepped, you doomsday prepped. None of that shit is going to protect you in these times that we're coming into. So the only way to get protected, receive that protection, is to come out from the ways of America, escape that mindset, and tap into the Lord. Continue, Mark.
God says, "For her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High hath remembered her iniquities."
Mm-hmm.
Says, "Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double according unto her, according so reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. In the cup which she hath filled to her double."
Right, exactly what we talked about earlier, right? Marathium, double rebellion. So for that double rebellion, you're gonna receive double the judgment, double the reward, right? But it says, verse 5, it says her sins have reached unto heaven. So hey, the amount of iniquity that America has accumulated over the years, man, since its inception, is pretty much how should I even say it? Like the only solution is to completely wipe this place off the map, which is exactly what the Most High is going to do. Scriptures talk about how this place is going to be a pool for the bittern. Pretty much how it's going to be a desert, and pretty much only like desert creatures are going to be living here. So America's going to be wasted at the end of the day. There's going to be no remembrance of this place. Go ahead, Ak.
Verse 7. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow.
Right, and that's the mindset of these Americans, right? That America's going to bounce back. Ain't nothing bad going to happen in America. That's the mindset that they're in. Even though we talk about and we hear about nuclear war, we hear about all these things. These Americans are so damn stupid. They got their head up their ass. They can't see the enemy around them. They can't see that they're being surrounded. Y'all Americans are being surrounded as we speak, man. America is being set up. Y'all can't see it. That's essentially what this is going into. The I sit the queen, am no widow, shall see no sorrow. America is never going to fall. America's going to stand forever. We're strong. Land of the free, home of the brave. All this bullshit. Go ahead, Ak.
Verse 8. It says, Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord power who judgeth her.
Right. So, all these plagues are going to come at the same time. As we said earlier, them polycrisis, right? Mm-hmm. Them plagues of Egypt. The same things that took down the Roman Empire is the same things that's going to be, happening here in America. Right. So that's all that's coming to America. Death, mourning, and famine, man. Again, the only way to escape that, as we read, what was it? Verse 4 is to come out of her, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and receive not of her plagues. So come out of that, man. Come out of America mentally, so you can, receive that, so you can be delivered from said plagues. That was all I had, Ak. You have anything else?
Allah.
So that was pretty much it. I pray this lesson was edifying. I'm going to go ahead and close it out by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Yahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught us his truth and rule well. Peace and blessings unto the hopeful elect, pushing his word throughout the four corners of the earth in truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Until the next time, we're going to say Shalom.
Shalom.